in Sarata. What is going on? Good evening, everyone. What's going on, fam? Yeah, right now is that time of year where what's going on, Braven Bulls? Right now is that time of year where yeast really gets a hold of many Gulf states, southern states, wherever there's humidity. Right now, heat and humidity, those are your number one environmental issues that are going to be causing yeast in your dog. I recently just dropped a video talking about Frito smell or tortilla chip smell in dog paws. A lot of times it's unfortunate what's going on, Adam Fields. Sometimes it's unfortunate because I get a lot of people tell me that vets tell them that yeast smell in dog paws is completely normal. Don't worry about it. I really would like to sit in a conversation with a vet when they're saying this. Zulema Santiago, how's it going? Because, listen, it isn't normal. Okay, in a way it is, and in a way it isn't. So let me explain to you. What is normal is that all dogs have certain bacteria and certain fungi, okay, and even mites, okay, on their fur and coat. All dogs have it, okay? But there is a limit to how much you have, how much the dog's body can tolerate, their immune system, their coat and skin health, etc. Whenever there's over multiplication of either fungi, bacteria, mites, then you're going to be getting these hot spot outbreaks in the case of mites. With yeast, you also may get hot spots, but you're also going to be getting that itchy smell, that yeasty smell that people refer to a lot of times as that Dorito chip smell. Sorry, I got somebody saying they're having a hard time listening. And that has nothing more to do with several factors. We're going to get into those factors here because they are key. They are key in how to manage yeast and how to set yourself up so that you don't get into a situation where your dog has full-blown yeast. Real quick, we got Miss Nina. What's going on? Evening, Raul. Ears and head shaking. Okay, so look, Nina's following the rules. She already knows what's up. I need you to tell me whether it's itch, smell, or ears, and I'll leave it out here so that way y'all can see it. And let me know what's happening. So, Nina, ears and head shaking. Okay, this is not good, Nina. This is not good. More likely than not. And let me just add one more piece of information. And, Nina, if you could go ahead and drop it as well. Let me know what state and city or region you're in. This way, we can make certain determinations to be more specific to you. But one of the issues you're going to have if you're already having ears and head shaking is obviously ear infection. Now is the time of year where a lot of states that are near the coast or are humid and hot, you're going to see an influx of ear infections. And that mostly has to do with the fact that you have internal factors in the dog that are meeting external factors in the dog, okay? So what are the external factors? I just alluded to them. Humidity and heat, okay? The internal factors are what you're feeding your dog. So if you're feeding sugary foods or starchy foods, and I already know there's a lot of people watching us that are saying, no, I don't feed my dog starch or sugars. I don't know what he's talking about. I feed that bag of kibble over there. Well, tell you what, you might want to flip that bag of kibble and you're going to be astonished. If there's rice on there, potatoes on there, sweet potatoes on there, guess what? You're feeding sugar and starches to your dog. What happens with sugars and starches? The reason we refer to them as sugar and starches is because they are simple carbohydrates and they become sugar quickly in your dog's blood. Now, your dog was built to be a carnivore, not to be eating cornflakes, right? These kibble companies are out to make money, so they're always going to throw in these cheap fillers in there, beet pulp, sugar cane, whatever. your dog wasn't meant to be eating that. And especially not in the percentages that these bags are set for. Okay, I have read in research that I've done, there's some bags that go all the way up to 70% of the bag is nothing but carbohydrates. So you can only imagine how that's throwing your dog into a loop. Okay, because your dog's pancreas, even though domesticated dogs have a larger pancreas than, say, wolves do, because they have evolved, right? Because we have, as humans, right, we have bred the dogs for specific jobs or specific look, whatever. Bottom line is their pancreas has grown with us, right? Or we've selected it, if you want to call it that. The problem is their pancreas is never going to be like ours. Why? Because we're omnivores. We could eat vegetables, we could eat meat, we could eat a combination of the two. They are predominantly carnivores and opportunistic herbivores. Opportunistic how? Well, when they catch a field mouse or they catch, I don't know, whatever animal out there that's been eating grains or vegetables or whatnot, obviously those contents are also going to be absorbed by their body. Okay. But larger amounts than that, what a field mouse would have in its digestive system, more likely than not, they're not going to be consuming that. You don't see potato farmers out in Idaho complaining that coyotes are attacking their potato fields. That's not the case, right? But if you go over, I don't know, maybe Arizona, California area, if they have sheep, goats, whatever, I'm pretty sure they're having a hard time with coyotes. That's because they're carnivores, they're not herbivores. So the minute you're getting head shaking, that's usually the first sign that you quite possibly have something going on with the ears, right? If you don't catch it fast enough, what's going to happen to your dog is the same thing that happened to my girl Aruba. And one day you're going to show up and one of her ears may balloon up and you're going to freak out. It's really no big deal. All it is the little blood vessels inside of the ears might have popped and it got filled with blood. And you're going to have to take her to the vet so they could pretty much drain it. Okay. What would I do if I see my dog doing this, right? Head shaking. First thing I would probably do, okay, she's in Texas, so that answers everything. Georgetown, Texas. All right, Miss Nina. So first thing I would probably do, and I'm going to go in sequence, right? So I'm going to go from least invasive to the highest invasive. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1 part vinegar. It could be apple cider. It could be white vinegar. I'm going vinegar, 3 parts water. Why is that? Because fungus or fungi, right? Yeast is a fungi. It dies off in an acidic environment, right? So that's the first step because I want to go the least invasive. Unfortunately, and I've told many people this, and you can see it on my pinned comments a lot of times, I made videos on chlorhexidine and betadine, and people run to that first. And I always tell them that's the last step. That's not the first step, right? So I would go 1 part vinegar, 3 parts water. Literally get yourself a paper towel or a cloth, and you're going to soak it in there. You're then going to, wring it, get a lot of the liquid out. And then I'm going to go into the dog's ear, no further than the outer ear. And I'm going to try cleaning, right? I'm going to clean that area, clean the other side, right? And I'm going to dry the ears, or you can let them air dry. That's fine. You're going to need to dry the ear if it's more than just where you can tell it's going to dry like within the next 2 or 3 minutes. If you can't tell that because your dog has floppy ears and it may stay moist because of it, then I do suggest you dry it, because moisture in combination with heat and the sugar that's being fed from the inside, or carbs or starches to your dog, is what makes the yeast overgrowth happen. And that's where you're seeing possible ear infections. Okay. Also, I will tell you this. Before I see my dog with the whole ear infection thing going on, more likely than not, Miss Nina, and I want you to either tell me yes or nay, But more likely than not, at some point, you saw your dog scratching itself. More likely than not, with one of its back paws. Typically, when they start scratching themselves with those back paws, what it means is that carbohydrate, that sugar that's being fed inside of the dog, it's starting to send itch signals on the skin. The dog is going to break the skin when it's scratching. Once you have broken skin, that leads to more irritation. It also leads to yeast coming from the inside and yeast as an opportunist getting on there from the outside. Yeast, allergens, mold. These are things that whenever the skin is broken, and bacteria, opportunistic bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungi are going to go right on there. The minute that happens, let me not say the minute, maybe half a day, that starts to multiply. Now, when the dog scratches there, the same place it scratched earlier, now the yeast or bacteria or fungi, whatever's going on there, is now on that back foot nail, right? On the nails. And when they decide to scratch the ear, now what they've done is they've pretty much moved what they've pretty much contaminated, right? What they got from the skin now going to the ear. So I'm only saying this because there's a lot of people probably watching us whose dogs are doing the head shaking thing, but probably saw the scratching thing and didn't think nothing of it. When in reality, 9 times out of 10, that's usually where the whole thing starts. All right. Let's see here. Thank you for all the vids. Very informative. You got it. Number love. We got, and that was my bad. And that was Greg E. Berline. All right. 314. We got Virginia Carrasco. My dog doesn't have any smell, but is itching. I have good food for him. Okay. I spend much money on itch medicine. Nothing works. That's because you're treating the symptom. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get further into that. Angela Owens is saying, evening, Raul, Central Florida. My boy has a scaly tail and hind end, super itchy and hair loss. Also that burnt Frito smell. Oh, goodness. All right. So I literally just made a video, right? And that video is pretty much hitting itch, smell, and ears. So when your dog has Frito smell, your dog should not be smelling like Fritos. Now, let me say this, because the minute I say that, then you got people that kind of are a bit extreme. And what I mean by that is you got some people that would only bathe their dog maybe once or twice a year, you know? So when I make a statement of your dog shouldn't smell like Fritos, and this dude hasn't bathed his dog in a year, then my statement doesn't apply to him, right? If you're bathing your dogs at least once a month, they should not be walking around smelling like Fritos, okay? At least once a month. They shouldn't be smelling that way. If you notice that smell, okay, that smell doesn't mean yeast is starting. No, what it means is you just noticed it. But there are several things that are already going on. Okay, you already have broken skin. At some point you do, because if they have Frito smell on those nails and they scratch anywhere on their body, there's going to be miniature fissures there that are going to lead to opportunistic bacteria, fungi, yeast, mites, you name it, right? And so by the time you're getting the Frito smell, you are in the middle of a process that has already been going on. Okay. So Angela, I want you to tell me what you're feeding your dog. Okay. I can tell you already, if you're feeding kibble, that's probably part of your problem. The other problem you have, major, okay, you're in Central Florida. Florida's a peninsula. I'm from Florida. All right. I know the state all the way around, but Central Florida, along with South Florida, and along with the entire coast, is pretty much nothing more than humidity. So if you're feeding something that is either causing an allergy or causing for yeast to be fed from the inside, and you then add the heat and humidity, that's a recipe for disaster. So one of the things that I tell people all the time, and I have my little can I keep showing y'all, sardines in water. Sardines in water is very good for you to feed to your dogs on a consistent basis, especially if you're living down south or in a humid area, or if you're seeing any of this stuff going on. And that's because sardines in water have omega-3 fatty acids. And omega-3 fatty acids are very good anti-inflammatories. The other thing you could do is boiled eggs along with that. Okay. How many times you got to feed this and how much? So here's the deal, guys. I've never been Mr. Exact. Okay. How much? I can tell you right now, I'll feed an entire can like this to one of my 70-pound dogs. Oh, but Google says, well, then you really need to get off my platform and follow whatever Google has to tell you. As far as I'm concerned, Google's never had a dog, right? I'm just letting you know what I would do and what I do for my dogs, right? That's what I do. In this time, in particularly this time of the year, 70-pound dog, you're getting the whole can. If your dog doesn't weigh 70 pounds, do the math. Don't be lazy, all right? Do the math. But a 70-pound dog, I would give sardines with water, and I'll give them boiled eggs. We'll give it to them 3 to 4 times a week. Easy. No issues. In fact, I would give them the sardines at times. If I see anything funky wanted to stick its head out, I'll give them the sardines every single day. I wouldn't have an issue. Okay. I personally wouldn't have an issue. Now, I will say this, though. If you have a dog that has health issues, bleeding issues, an upcoming surgery, anything like that, then by all means, or anything going on, I do suggest you go see your vet. But as far as us here, our healthy dogs, that's how we go about it. Okay. In addition to that, there's more to the story. Okay. There's more to the story. The other thing we do give our dogs is Nuvet NuJoint DS. Okay. And we give them to them for a particular reason. Is because each one is actually giving our dogs something different. Okay. I've already broken this down to you guys. Right? We got tryptophan on board. Now, this was mostly when I did the video on how inflammation actually affects a dog, how sugary foods affects a dog's behavior. But this could be applicable to everything else as well. And you got NuJoint DS, which is an anti-inflammatory. It's really, really, really important, guys, because sardines is an anti-inflammatory. So why would I need NuJoint DS? You're going to need NuJoint DS because this thing, the more different angles that you hit it with, the better off you're going to be. There's no such thing as one tool and fix all when it comes to this. By the time you're getting the yeasty smell on your dog's paws, or you're getting the ears doing this, shaking of the head, you're already further along in the process. This thing is not starting. The other thing I will tell you guys, one of the easier fixes or things that can help you is automatically put your dog either on raw food. And if you're against raw feeding, which I can understand, if you have a 2-year-old running around in the house, you don't want the dog licking them or anything like that, that's fine. It's understandable. Then do the raw food, but instead of, making it raw, go ahead and cook it on a crock pot. That simple, right? Immediately, you're going to start seeing a difference. If you want to know what diets we feed our dogs, how to starve yeast within 21 days, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my channel and I'm going to show you guys exactly where to go. Because it's really, really simple, right? So let me go ahead and bring this in so I can show you. Now, I can't make the whole podcast on what you need to cook and all that because each situation can be somewhat different, okay? But I'm going to give you the tools to where you can go and you can definitely find this and you can learn it at your leisure, right? Because it is a lot of information. So you go into my homepage, right? QB and Kennel. This is what you're going to see up front here. By the way, guys, we're only 5,000 subscribers away from 200,000. So if you could share us, like, comment, I really appreciate it. Either way, You come down here. Here we are live, and down here is my dog yeast infection treatment complete 21-day system covering diet, topical protocols, and daily supplementation for American Bullies playlist. So you click on playlist, right? And you go there. You literally are gonna click there, and you're gonna see all 12 videos. There's 12 videos in that playlist. That and you can see them here. Better yet, here you go. It starts out with explaining to you what's happening. Then it goes into how to get yeast, do a 21-day yeast reset, and then a 21-day yeast starve. Then we're going to show you how your vet's trying to swindle you out of your money, but we're also going to show you, right? We're going to show you how to treat the paws if you're having paw issues, and we got it broken down by a protocol and levels. And over here, if you're having the whole corn chip smell in your dog paws, this is just reinforcing and giving you the education you need. That way you can make better decisions for your pooch. And that way you're not somebody's victim. Because the minute you walk into that vet office and your eyes are blinking and you don't know anything, at that point you can become somebody's victim, because they're human beings just like anybody else. I promise you, they use toilet paper just like everybody else. I'm just keeping it real with you. All right. I use baking soda for her bath. I've tried apple cider vinegar, thousands of dollars of medicine. It's almost hopeless. Well, listen, Transport King 1988. My friend, make sure to watch that playlist I just showed you guys. Take your dog off of kibble and either cook or go raw. Okay. If it has rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, peas, corn syrup, okay. What's it called? Sour gum. I think that's what it's called. Get that, throw that stuff out. Okay. Go buy yourself a grinder on Amazon and buy chicken quarters at Walmart, so it could be as least expensive for you. Take off the skin if you need to. All right. Chop it up, throw it in the grinder, right? And now it comes out like ground beef with little sand bits in it that your dog's able to eat. Go ahead, throw it in the crock pot along with some broccoli in there and serve it to your dog. Make sure you have a supplement on board. I do not feed, and I do know that barf diets do recommend organ meats, offal, and all that good stuff. And it sounds great, but I don't. And I'll tell you guys why. But I feed Nuvet NuJoint DS. I don't, because I just have done enough research and videos. For the record, I've done videos where I have shown that there are things that are being put into cows that end up in the liver that I don't want in my dogs. It's really that simple. And, even though the FDA says that you can't put that on chicken, the truth of the matter is chicken in this country grows very, very, very fast. So you're not supposed to add it on chicken, but there's something being added. You can't lie to me. And if you look at the middle video where it says this common dog food mistake is destroying your dog's health, you'll understand exactly why I do not feed animal liver unless I am able to source it directly from 100% grass-fed, no antibiotics, no growth hormones, none of that stuff. Because that stuff ends up in your dog, and you don't know what's going on. It can end up adding tumors. I mean, these are growth hormones. Think about it. When your dog's body is switching the growth hormones off, you're here feeding this liver, artificially giving stuff that they're injecting into animals that is not meant for your dog to begin with. Let's see here. We got Cheeky Metro. I got control of the ears and all. If it ain't one thing after another, now my dog is getting tear stain buildup. Okay, tear stain buildup is not the worst thing. A lot of times is your dog trying to detox. Sometimes it's a good sign. Eye boogies is a good sign. I'm just saying, by the way, Got myself a new coffee cup, man. These little wooden one, 100% wooden. It's crazy. It might be mental. It might be completely mental, but when I drink out of it, for some reason, the coffee tastes different. It tastes, I don't know, just tastes great. Let's see here. Transport King, my Maltese is almost 16 years old. Okay. Well, you're dealing with a couple of things, right? Because when you're dealing with age, you're dealing with a less resilient immune system. More reason to get Nuvet NuJoint DS, and this is just my opinion. If you don't want to get NuJoint DS, make sure to get your dog on a supplement. Because here's the truth. Broken dog skin does not rebuild itself, right? So broken dog skin needs raw materials in order to rebuild that wall, the skin wall, so that contaminants like allergens, mold, bacteria, fungi do not get into that wall or that skin layer and cause irritation. That is your problem. If there's irritation there and the dog scratches, then the entire cycle starts over again, right? So that's the reason why I go to Nuvet NuJoint DS, because it's giving my dog's body the raw materials it needs. By the way, this is 100% natural. It is cold pressed. It is made at human food grade, and it's bioavailable for your dog. Because you might turn over your dog's food bag and it says, oh, look, it's got vitamin A and vitamin B and this and that and the third. Here's the problem. Once you put it through the cooker, once you put it through the extruder and you go up to 350 degrees or more, what ends up happening is a lot of those vitamins and minerals get denatured. So now when your dog's body needs to grab raw materials, it's not there. It's not what the bag says it is. Okay, so that's why I go with Nuvet NuJoint DS. I've been on this particular supplement now for about 4 years. Coat health couldn't be better. I haven't had a full-blown yeast breakout. Okay, I literally had 2 months ago what I thought was a full-blown yeast breakout. It ended up being nothing more than a true chicken allergy. And I say true because a lot of you think your dog has a chicken allergy from kibble that says there's chicken on there. That's not a true test. If you really want to test for chicken allergy, my recommendation is go to Walmart or wherever you get your chicken, get yourself a grinder, grind it up. You could either feed it raw or feed it cooked, and you feed that nothing but that for a good 2 to 3 weeks. But don't be silly. If after 5 days things are getting worse fast, then you have yourself an allergy. And that's what happened to me. But aside from that, I haven't had any issues, right? So I'm just saying, if you got to rebuild a wall that is fractured, and that fracture is what's causing all these yeast issues and all these problems, then my recommendation is get the right source. Otherwise, you're going to walk into your vet's office and look, I don't have anything personal against vets. I need vets sooner or later, whether I have a dog breeding and I need to do a C-section. My girl Aruba not so long ago had a tumor. Thank goodness it's a benign tumor, but it was a tumor nonetheless and it had to be operated. Okay, but the bottom line is if you walk in there and you really don't know what's going on, you could be taken for a ride. Okay, there's many of you that hit me up that you're talking about $6,000-$7,000 into this, and my dog still has the Frito smell in the paws. Well, did you have a conversation with your vet about changing the diet, about stopping Apoquel, about no, none of that? Okay, well, then I don't know what to tell you at that point. At that point, you might want to consider getting another vet or following our protocols and see what happens. And if you want to see for yourself, go to our videos on our protocols, read what people are writing on there, and read as to how fast they're already seeing results in their dogs. I'm talking about people are writing on there between 7 to 10 days since they started our protocols. They're already starting to see results. That's what matters. You see, a vet will never tell you that because their business model is not that. And unfortunately, a lot of vets that you see now on social media are vets that are now trying to capitalize on social media because they're able to show you a license. My question is, where were you 10 years ago when, you know, everyone in the vet industry was taking advantage of everybody's yeast infection? And all of a sudden you're popping up trying to be a helper and trying to be this and trying to be that. It's just kind of weird. I'm just saying, because 10 years ago I was breeding, and 10 years ago I was going to vets, and 10 years ago I was being dragged over the coals every time I show up with a dog with an ear infection, right? I also think I need to find a new vet, says Transport King. Yep, I think so too. In Saratha, my Paibo girl Nimbus has a tear stain flare up that is not going away despite everything. Okay, so tear stain flare ups, depending on your dog color, right? And because one of the things that I would do for tear stain, they don't bother me. And I'm going to tell you why they don't bother me. We have fans in the kennel area that are constantly blowing. So I'm going to have a couple of dogs that are going to have tear stains. There's just no way around it. It doesn't bother me. But say it did bother me, or I was preparing a dog to go in the ring to show in the show. Then what I would do, I would probably get a cup, add 1 part hydrogen peroxide and 3 parts water, 2 parts water, depending on how strong I'm seeing the stain, and also the dog's color. I keep mentioning that because hydrogen peroxide is going to change the color of the fur. So if you got a white dog, you're going to be good. The closer you are to white, the better things are going to be. But if you got a black dog and you're about to swipe that through, then you might see a little bit of color differentiation there. That's what I'm throwing at you. Her skin has turned black over the years. Oh, goodness, man. Good evening. How's it going, Miss Shea Tree? Nina says, yes, he's scratching. Right head leaning into back right paw. Yeah. So what I would suggest, Miss Nina, right? And I'm going to talk to Miss Nina here real quick. What I would suggest, let me go ahead and bring this up again so you can see it. You're going to notice there's a video. Let me take this down so I can point at it. And you can see me live right here. So you see that video right there, the exact ear cleanse formula that stopped chronic ear infection, right? So I strongly suggest you watch that video right there. Okay, I strongly suggest. Now there's 2 of them. Okay, if you notice, the bottom one is the chlorhexidine cleanse, and that's that specific cleanse. But just hear me out. This one right here, the exact ear cleanse formula, is going to give you a protocol of 4 different cleanses, and it's going to include the chlorhexidine cleanse. Okay, it's already included there. Okay, I want you to see this one right here, the exact ear cleaner formula, because that one's going to tell you exactly what you're going to add now. And when you see improvement, I need you to change gears, because you just can't keep giving them chlorhexidine over and over and over and over again. Once it improves and it goes away, then I need you to shift gears. And that's going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, let me go to the next comment. Sulema Santiago, I use the second step from your solution and still seeing black dirt in the ears. I'll start tomorrow in the 3rd step. So she's referring to that video. That video has 4 protocols, right? And once, you know, you got to start with one particular, and then when you graduate from there, you go to the next one, so on and so forth. It's going to give you precise instructions. Shaud 81, hey Raul, my bully has head shaking and red ear flaps, no smell. She eats Bully Max kibble. Oh boy. Shaud, I can't talk about Bully Max, man. A while back, I did, and you know, I was told I couldn't talk about him anymore. Otherwise, I got a cease and desist letter. So I'm not going to talk about Bully Max. What I am going to tell you, however, is what I just said earlier. Getting your dog off of kibble. When I got my dogs off of kibble, let me give you a quick story. About 11 years ago, 10 years ago, could be 9.5 years ago, somewhere around there, I had a bunch of dogs, and summertime came around. And at the time, I was feeding Victor. This is before Victor was sold. What was it, 2020 or 21? I'm not sure. Anyways, Summer came around, and all of a sudden, my dogs were popping off. One after another was having an ear infection. I was literally taking one dog and coming back and then grabbing another one, taking it, and coming back 2 or 3 days later, right? Well, I kept doing that because I didn't know better. I was getting the hang of it with dogs and whatnot. And then I started finding out, you know what? The way dogs function are, in a lot of ways, are similar to humans. So I happen to be a nurse. And so I started applying certain experiments because that's the only way you're going to know what's really working and what's not. Because the vet doesn't sit there and like give you an entire biology class as to why it's happening. Here it is. Grab this, give it to him for so many days. He should be fine, right? So long story short, what I did was I remember moving 2 dogs specifically to just a raw diet. And guys, I'm talking about within 5 days, 7 days max, the difference was abysmal. And so that was my first glimpse at raw diet. Now, I have my reservations about raw diet because I also know that the bacteria that is going into the dog's gut is right above other organs, such as the uterus in female dogs. And I had found research that dogs that ate raw had a higher tendency of pyometria. That was my research, and it was my reservation, right? You may talk to another breeder and they tell you, nah, that's never happened. That very well could be true. But that was the main reason why it took me so long to be completely sold on raw. But when I shifted my dogs from kibble and I shifted to a low carb diet, higher protein, better protein, immediately the change was night and day. If you don't want to do raw, that's fine. What I suggest is find a barf diet online and just cook it in a crock pot. Now, I do say, and you just heard me go into an entire spiel. I'm not going to go into it again, but I do use these 2 supplements, Nuvet NuJoint DS, together rather than cow liver or chicken livers. Why? You already know, man. In this country, you know, they're pushing all this stuff into cows and it ends up in their liver. And with chicken, you're not supposed to, but I don't know, man. They're growing faster than you can imagine. So some people say it's genetics. I don't know. Afternoon, my guy, Kevin Scow Wright, man. What's going on, man? Transport says, I bathe my dog twice a week. I'm thinking about doing 3 or 4 times a week. Okay, so let me explain something to you, bud. Transport. Here is the problem, bro, and I want you to understand. So if behind me there was a crack on this wall and there was moisture or water somehow seeping through the crack and there's heat, it's only going to be a matter of time before there's going to be mold in a crack in this wall. Now, I could clean this wall 4, 5 times a week, but when I ain't looking, that moisture and that heat is going to grow mold on this wall again. So think about that wall being your dog's skin. If you don't fix what's on the inside, this stuff on the outside, you could keep washing all you want. You're not fixing it, man. You're just washing it off. And don't get me wrong, that's needed. But you need an inside fix so that when you do the outside cleaning, they kind of work hand in hand together. But if you're only going to be cleaning on the outside, man, don't even waste your time. Shay Tree says, I have a question about my dog's skin on her legs and belly. She has merle patterns, like blotchy spots this year. She is 4.5. Is that an indicator of anything? That very well could be, Shay, an indicator of something. I can't sit here and tell you exactly an indicator of what. That's just too, you know what I'm saying? It's just too broad. But there are things that I look for in my dogs that if I see it, I'm going to the vet, right? Because we need to scrape it. We need to put it under a microscope. We need somebody who knows exactly what they're doing under a microscope to tell me what's there, right? If I see an irregular tag somewhere on their body, to me, that's a red flag. The other thing is at 4 years old, I shouldn't be, in my mind, I shouldn't be seeing new spots on you. If they are there, and I'm not trying to scare you in any way, but if they're there, I definitely want to see a vet. I definitely want a vet to see it and tell me what's going on. All right. Echo Bully Kennels from Canada. There's new. Did they pay their dog twice a week? That's the problem. You're bathing your dog too often. All its natural defense is in oils are gone. Yeah, that's the other thing. So you're not fixing the crack on the wall, which is going to grow mold because of humidity on the outside and heat, right? But you keep cleaning it. But on the inside, you're feeding, right? There's sugar still coming up through that crack that when it meets the moisture and it meets the heat, it's going to overgrow. And in addition, there's oils and things going on the fur that you're also getting rid of that. You might end up causing another issue, right? Good point there, Echo. Angela says, I feed my kibble mixed with fresh venison and veggies. That's phenomenal, Angela. But I will tell you this. If my dog was having hair loss by their tail and their rear, and you can see the skin and all that, it was scaly and all that was going on, I would just get rid of the kibble for the summertime. I just would. You got to understand there's a lot of things going on with your dogs, right? In the wintertime, okay, a lot of dogs, I can tell you with my dogs, their fur goes from summer coat to winter coat. So it becomes more dense. There's more, it seems like it's more hair follicles per square inch is what it seems like, right? And then when the summertime comes, I notice that fur coat, they somehow get rid of it. They shed all over the place. And then next thing you know, not that word, I said shed, right? They shed all over the place. And you can notice that the density per square inch goes down, right? So that's telling you that hormonally, the dog is changing, right? So why would you still feed what you're feeding in the wintertime in the summertime, right? Think about it for just a minute. If dogs evolved from wolves and wolves are out in the wild, do wolves hunt the same thing in the wintertime than they do in the summertime? You see, nature's perfect for a reason. And so I'm just saying, if you're already adding veggies and venison, tell you what, get rid of that kibble, add a couple little blueberries on there, and maybe a boiled egg. Watch what happens. All right, let me know. Keep me posted. All right, she says, I did give him that this morning. Okay, I'm not sure what she's referring to. Say, Raul, so right. Thank you. Okay, you got it, Michelle. Echo says, who's the person that's saying they're bathing the dog twice a week and has multiple issues? The problem is you're bathing your dog too often. No, that's not just the only problem, Echo. That's not the only problem. Don't get me wrong. You're right. Bathing your dog that many times or even 4 or 5 times in a month is too much. I get it. I don't disagree with that point. Okay. But that's not the sole point. And in my opinion, it's not the main point. Because if you are feeding your dog kibble that's got peas, potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, cracked pearl barley, whatever, that is a source of sugar to that dog. You are now feeding it from the inside. If you don't correct that, your dog will continue to scratch and break the skin. And once they do, there's opportunistic bacteria and fungi and mites and everything else that's going to jump on there every time the skin is broken. So you could sit there now and wash your dog all you want, but if you didn't fix him from the inside, guess what? He's going to continue to break the skin. So if you fix it from the inside, you reduce the sugars, you feed better protein, right? I'm not talking about that protein that comes in a bag that has to go, a kibble bag that has to go through an extruder at 350 degrees. I'm talking about buy yourself some chicken quarters, put them in a crock pot after you've grinded them down, or if you're going to feed them raw, and watch what happens. Better protein. Now your dog has a better immune system, doesn't have to deal with as much sugar that is feeding the very enemy that is trying to fight. And rather than feed organ meat, I feed Nuvet NuJoint DS. I do that on purpose because what good is it that you're fighting yeast, but you're going to give your dog cow liver that I think is at 6 months or 9 months already got its first injection of a growth hormone? Do you really want to do that? You see where I'm coming from? All right. Archetype Bullies, always love the info on the lives. Love from Australia. Hey, down under, man. Number love, Australia. Sykes Pups. Hey, by the way, man, like I said, I got myself this little wooden cup. I'm telling you, man, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, he always said, food tasted better whenever you use silverware. And I'm talking about whenever my aunts would feed him with little plastic spoons or whatever. He's like, it just tastes different. I never believed that coffee would taste different on a wooden cup. Just want to throw that out there. Where was I? Sardines are a staple around here, says Sykes Pups. Hey, around here too, bro. In fact, was it last week? I want to say last week or the week before. I went to Walmart and I raided their sardine section. Raided. And when I was heading out, the girl's like, there he is. That's the guy. And I was like, what, you know, and they didn't limit me. They let me buy as many sardine cans as I could. But the lady, the manager of the section had a conversation with me. And he's like, do you normally do that? I said, yeah. He's like, no, because we've seen this uptick. And I just, you know, we're going to order more regardless. We just wanted to know. I said, yes, I'm a breeder. And, you know, so literally I had taken about, I think it was 80 cans in one shot. So no big deal. No big deal. Transport King, how often should I bathe my Maltese? Transport King, initially, because you're dealing with an issue, an ongoing acute situation. If I had a Maltese, I would probably be bathing her maybe once or twice a week. Okay. At first, I would be doing everything possible so I would only have to bathe her once, and then once every 2 weeks, and then hopefully just twice a month, and we're good. I know Maltese are a long-haired coat. They're not like my American Bullies. I get that. But you got to fix your dog from the inside. It also goes to your guts, to your dog's gut, right? The microbiome in the gut, right? The yeast is letting you know that the amount of sugars that you've been feeding your dog has changed the bacteria in your dog's gut. So another thing that you need to be adding on there is one of two things, actually. You could either do kefir, right? And the reason I say kefir, because I'm trying to stay away from dairy, because dairy does have sugars in it. But kefir, right, has already gone through a process where the bacteria have broken down the sugars in it. So you could give that to your dog. There's a lot of lactobacillus, which is the good probiotic that goes in your dog's gut. That's going to help your dog fight this thing off. Is it going to fix your dog overnight? No, it's not. Nothing's going to fix your dog overnight. It's going to take a good 2 or 3 weeks before you see, like, if your dog's at that point that you're talking about, it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks before you start noticing that your dog's microbiome is really changing, right? It's just not going to be overnight. I'm just keeping it real with you, right? Also, reduce the amount of sugar that you're feeding if you're feeding kibble, right? If you're seeing the ingredients that I spoke about, they need to go out, right? If your dog's not allergic to chicken, buy chicken quarters, buy broccoli, cilantro. They're very good at getting rid of all that stuff that your dog has on the inside. Boiling an egg, that's not going to hurt your dog in any way. Sardines, just drop the can. Sardine cans in water, not in oil. That's going to help you, man. That's an anti-inflammatory. Nuvet NuJoint DS is going to give you the raw materials for your dog to rebuild the wall. It also has a strong anti-inflammatory in NuJoint DS. A lot of people think because they see the word new joint is only for joints. No, when you serve up anti-inflammatories, the body's going to use it throughout. Also, keep this in mind. Inflammation, systemic inflammation inside of your dog's body is also going to affect their joints, right? Because it's just a cascade effect. So Nuvet NuJoint DS, they go together. I suggest you do the auto ship at 13% off right? That's what you're going to get with AutoShip. And when you do AutoShip and you order both, you get a free consult with me on FaceTime one-on-one, and we can discuss whatever you got going on with your dog even further. All right. Transport says, never heard of feeding sardines to a dog, but I'm open to anything as long as it helps her. Transport, man, let me know how much your dog weighs, right? I know I told people to do the math, but I really want to help you out. Let me know how much your dog weighs. I think once you start feeding sardines, you cut down the sugar, you're going to be coming up in here and you're going to be singing praises. I promise you. I could almost promise you that, unless your dog has something serious going on with her. If it's just what I think it is, you're going to notice an improvement. NuVet has not ever been recalled. Human food grade cold press. You got that right, Miss Shaytree. Adam Fields talking about 513-237. That's the ordering code, guys. Hi, brother Adam. There you go. Like we're in church up in here. We got Echo Bully saying, I have dogs literally haven't had a bathe in 18 years. They may go for a swim, but not a bath, and zero skin or issues. Echo, listen, you fit the bill. I was actually talking about people that only bathe their dog once a year. You're talking about in 18 years. Hey, man, if it works for you, who am I to question you? But me personally, we bathe our dogs once a month. Now, I will say this too, though, Echo, you do live up in Canada, and your humidity is going to be different than ours down here in Texas, where we got all this heat, right? Your humidity, I think it's mostly during the wintertime. So it may be different. You may live in an area that has, even though you may have snow, may have less, what's it called, relative humidity in comparison to maybe people that live down south, right? Freddie Stravia says, hello, Bully fam. Happy Sunday, guys. You got it, Miss Freddie. Actually, it's Guy. Today I'm flying solo. We got Michael Higginson traveling, and we got my dude in the back, right? Kyle, he told me, he said, man, I'm traveling back home. I don't know if I can make it in time. I said, man, don't worry. I got you. Number love, man. Sister Shay, Adam Fell, man, you start this whole, this is not a church. Don't start that sister brother thing, man. Number love. Iceberg, good evening. What's going on, man? I love you guys. Love you back. Jet Ski, talking about Bully fam. What up? We got Cheeky Metro Echo. You're lucky as hell. My girl go running every morning and jumps in the water and gets paw issues if I don't clean her. This is what I'm talking about, man. It's where you're at, right? And also every dog's circumstance. So you're absolutely right, Cheeky, in drying those paws. Not drying those paws is usually where the whole thing starts from the outside. And once they have it on their paws, now you have a world of hurt because they're going to scratch. And when they scratch, they break skin. And when they break skin, they contaminate. And when it contaminates, so you're seeing the cascade effect, right? Good evening, everyone. Is Kyle still with you guys? Absolutely, man. He's not home right now. He's driving home. But yeah, Kyle ain't going nowhere, man. Hollywood, I know you're watching Hollywood. Number love to you, man. Make sure you're driving safe, bro. Cheeky Metro, now she just has an eye issue. Oh, boy. Okay, he's talking about tear buildup. Well, I will tell you this. Whenever you start a dog and the type of, because we also have a yeast detox diet. I got a bunch of people hit me up. You heard me say chicken and broccoli. That's part of the detox diet. We also add garlic. Yes, garlic, which we either chop or crush, let sit for 15 minutes before we give to the dog, so that Allen, which isn't good for your dog, turns into Allison, which actually is an antibacterial, antifungal, but it's also an anti-inflammatory. But when you start giving these things, you're going to start noticing eye boogers. And that's usually one of the best signs you want, because that's actually telling you that the dog is detoxing. Now, if you're having a tear buildup, right? It is possible that it could be a form or a way of eye boogies, but it's also possible that it's not. So all I'm going to say to that is make sure to hit rewind on this video. Watch it from the very beginning. I spoke on tears before. You'll have your answer there. We got SFB Hunt. Can you elaborate? Not to feed your dog salmon in a can. I keep seeing people having females absorbing and then come find out they feed their dog a can of salmon every day. Well, listen, I don't know exactly what point you want me to say about the salmon in a can, but I will say this. I stopped feeding salmon to my dogs for various reasons. First reason is you never feed raw salmon to a dog. Okay? Don't. There's a parasite in salmon that could actually kill your dog. Okay? So you never want to feed it raw. Secondly, when you feed fish that live up to a year or even more than a year, what you're feeding is a fish that has higher mercury accumulation than, say, sardines, right? And so you don't want to be feeding that because you could end up with neurological issues. Now, I'm pretty sure SFB Hunt, you can educate me exactly what's in the can and why not to feed it from a can. If you could just give us that information, I'll be more than happy to share it, man. So thank you for bringing it up. We got Transport King. I will watch the playlist tonight. You got it, man. Not just watch it. Once you apply it and you start seeing changes, do me a favor. Come back in here and let us know, man. Angela Owens says, thank you. You got it. Jet Ski. By the way, guys, listen. If you're a non-member, right, like Miss Angela Owens over here, she doesn't have that little symbol by her name. I didn't mean to call you out, Miss Angela. Jet Ski over here has a little symbol by his name, so I got to prioritize my members for as little as $5 a month. As you can see, this becomes an interactive discussion. You could pretty much write down your questions during the week, wait until I come live and hit me with them before we're off tonight. I'm going to answer all your questions. All right, Jesky, listen, I use diamond salmon and sweet potatoes. I haven't had a problem in about 2 years, and it's kibble. Jesky, that's great. You may have a dog that has a huge pancreas, and you'll never know until it dies and they do an autopsy. But for those of us that are having issues, first of all, I don't recommend salmon, and here's why. I just mentioned mercury. Think about it. Dog food or kibble is put through an extruder, which densifies, right? Because it takes out all the water. So mercury actually gets more dense within each kibble pellet than you would if you were giving it at higher volume, right? So we're getting rid of the water, obviously, for shelf life and all that. So all I'm saying is you may not be seeing issues right now, but you may be running into neurological issues in your dog's later life. So why even take that chance? That's just my recommendation. You keep doing what you think. If it's working for you, keep doing it. But if it isn't, then you know what my recommendation is, all right? Transport King, I just went and picked up a load of Royal Canine dog food at Pilgrim's Chicken Plant. It was the filthiest plant I have ever been to. Bruh. Why are you guys? I'm not for kibble. Let me just say that right now. I'm for raw or cooking. I'm not for kibble. I do feed my dogs kibble though. But here's the deal. I feed no more than 10 or 15%. In fact, this week I'm feeding a day 10 or 15% worth of kibble. Another day I'm not. And I'm just doing that because my dogs are thinning out way too fast. Okay? That's the only reason. I'm not feeding my dogs more than 10 or 15% kibble. Do not just go and get yourself a bag of Royal Canin and feed that to your dog and expect for these things not to happen. I've done plenty of videos on kibble reviews, and Royal Canin is literally low-lying fruit. It really is. Turn it over, look at the ingredients, and you're going to see plenty of carbohydrates on there. Shade Tree says they add synthetic vitamins, which are complete BS. Yep. Cause sometimes they make mistakes and they add too many vitamins and it kills dogs all throughout history. This is true. Keep in mind, there's two types of vitamins. Water soluble, which dogs pee out, we pee out, no issues. And then you have the fat soluble vitamins. Those are the ones that end up in your liver. I remember it from nursing school as ADEK. ADEK. Those are the fat soluble vitamins. And if you overstack on them, you can make your dog toxic. Yes, it can happen. Also, I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys, right? But if you feed kibble, and I want you to drop the comment here if what I'm saying rings a bell or it doesn't. I want you to say yay or nay. Okay. If you've been feeding the same bag of kibble, has it not happened that sooner or later it either becomes greasier than it normally is, or even the kibble itself either changes color, becomes brighter or darker? If you're noticing these changes, you got to keep in mind that they do change formulas and they also changed sourcing. So if you're thinking that the bag is saying chicken, this month could be chicken from here. Next month, it could be chicken from China. I'm just throwing that out there. Transport, I'm going to try supplements you mentioned. You got it, man. Here's the code, 513237. All you got to do is go to NuVet.com, 513237. I have a link down below in descriptions below. I do recommend NuVet, the green bottle, and NuJoint DS. If you get them both and you do AutoShip at 13%, you're going to get a free one-on-one FaceTime. And, you know, if you need me to give you more one-on-one breakdown, I'll be more than happy to. AR Mike, you dance. What up, brother? I'm glad I found your channel. Thank you. My dog has a nasty yeast infection that has spread all over his fur. Oh, from his mid-back all the way down. He's lost most of the hair. All right. AR, make you dance. Okay, wait a minute. He has another comment. I'm going to try to change his diet and clean his sheets every day. There you go. That's another thing. I'm glad you're bringing it up. Changing the sheets. So if you have a doggy bed and your dog has an active yeast infection, I'm going to tell you right now, grab that little doggy bed, go wash it somewhere, put it out in the sun if you want to, but don't let your dog go sleep back in that doggy bed. Buy yourself one of them little doggy beds with a screen. That's what I got for my dogs. A little doggy bed with the screen. It has a lot of airflow, very easy to clean. I'm talking about less than 30 seconds. You throw some detergent on there, grab yourself a broom and grab your hose and, you know, just brush it with a spoon, hose it down, let it sit for about a good 10, 15 minutes. It's dry and it's ready to go. Do not keep using the same bedding. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. And yes, changing the diet is definitely key. Sulema, just noticed, where's Mike and Kyle? Mike and Kyle are traveling. They're not traveling together, but they are traveling at the same time. And I'm wishing both of them safe trips. They're definitely going to be here next week. Insaratha says, I have fans, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's just the dust in the air. Insaratha, I don't know if you heard me say that earlier. My dogs in the kennel area, they do have fans, and I have that there on purpose because we do live in a very humid area. So I want to make sure everything stays dry. But the price I pay for that is going to be tear stains. And there's really nothing you can do. We got Make You Dance. Yeast always comes from the ears, right, guys? No, not always. My dog has a nasty smell from his ears, and I try and clean them every day. Yeah, AR, listen, bud, I'm going to bring it up here real quick for you. I think you're probably showing up now. I have no issues. Let me see if I can show you this real quick. Guys, bear with me. I'm trying to help them out here. Here we go. All right. So what I would want you to do, bud, is probably going to be the best thing you could do. Oh, hold on a second. It didn't. No, sorry, guys. Hold on. Bear with me here. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't jump when the page jumps. Okay, so hold on, guys. I definitely got to take this down real quick. There you go. Now I can do it. All right, so let me just show you the screen. I do suggest you go to QB and Kennel homepage, right? And when you get there, what I want you to do is I want you to find this particular playlist that I'm about to share with you. Okay, so you're going to go to my channel, right? QB and Kennel, by the way, we're only 5,000 subs away, so give us a like, a share, a comment. And you're going to notice this is going to be the first playlist. It's going to educate you, man. It's going to give you the insight you need. Look, how to fix the gut, 21-day yeast reset, 21-day yeast starve. We have a vet. If your vet's trying to swindle you, this is a little chlorhexidine cleaning that you can use. We got more licking. So if you got paw issues going on, this is a 4-level protocol. If you got corn chip smells, right, in the paw, if you notice, the picture goes from the paw to the ear. That's pretty much letting you know how it goes. It doesn't start in the ear. A lot of times that's where it ends up. A lot of time it starts internally, and then the outside environment changes. It becomes hot and humid, and that's where you have, that's where they meet, and they pretty much create havoc. Shade Tree says, I've been following QBNPC many moons. The result is my dogs don't have these issues. Talking about Raul saving all of us vet bills. You got it. Yeah. You guys love me. I know vets hate me. I can tell you that. Cheeky, number love, man. Appreciate you. Hold on. You see, I needed Hollywood in here. Where's the good old hold on a second. Oh, louder. Hold on. There you go, man. Cheeky, number love, man. Cheeky, for the same thing that you just donated, you could be a member of this channel for 30 days and we could continue interacting every Sunday at 8 p.c.st. Just throwing that out there. But I do appreciate you. Transport says, I appreciate the education you're giving out tonight. We do this every Sunday, man. Just make sure to join us. If you have a friend, family member that's having issues with their dogs, make sure to bring them over here. This is your house. This is a community platform that we set up. I started out as an American Bully breeder that didn't have any help from anyone because everybody's trying to make a buck. And I ended up learning how to do dog health care tips, which I share with people now, regardless what breed, even though I do breed American Bullies exclusively. Talking about breeding American Bullies exclusively, I want you guys to take a look at how humid my home is. By the way, that's one of my rescues, Shadow. We love her to death. She's the funniest little dog. As you can see, they're playing tag, come run after me, and she's running ahead of everybody. It's just hilarious. Either way, I just thought I'd share that with you. Everything is green. Everything is growing. It's because the amount of humidity we have here. Was it 3 or 4 days ago? It was just pouring here like it wasn't going to stop. And then the sun comes out, and then you feel like you're in a rice steamer. Believe it or not, that causes a lot of humidity in the air, and it gets in your dog's ear permanently. If you're not feeding the right thing to your dog, you're going to end up with a yeast infection. Big Yak, what made you specifically breed bullies and not something else? I fell in love with the breed. I literally bought a puppy, an American Bully puppy, because I wanted to see what the breed was all about. Man, it was hook, line, and sinker within 10 days. I love the breed. I don't like what a lot of people have done with the breed. I don't like, how people handle the breed, but the breed itself, I love it, man. It is what it is. How about a little acne around the mouth? Lee Jack 517. Lee Jack, I will attribute that again to diet, man. And the reason I say that, listen, this platform is mainly what I've experienced and what I research. I've been breeding now for 10 years. I've never had a dog with acne in its mouth. It's got everything to do with the diet. Right? Because otherwise I would have come with the amount of dogs that I have produced and the amount of dogs I've had throughout these 10 years, I would have came across it. Never have. So it's got to be diet, man. Cheeky says, my girl gets a little bump once in a while on the lip. Again, I want to say is diet. I will say this. If they're anything like humans, and they are, by the way, dogs like to smell each other's cooter and rear ends and lick it and all that good stuff. Every now and then you can get yourself a nice little virus. I'm just throwing that out there. Who got, what are your thoughts about cornstarch on dog's stomach and underarms? Here's the thing, who got. I don't believe that if you have a dog and an active yeast infection, to add yeast to the dog. Now, let me say this so you can understand where I'm coming from. I have added cornstarch and baking soda together. I made a video. I've showed people how I use it. Here's the thing. I only use that recipe in fall when we don't have the humidity we have now. If I had a dog that was in full-blown yeast infection and you add cornstarch, you're feeding the yeast. Cornstarch is nothing but immediate sugar. So you don't want to do that, right? Not right now. Not if you live in a humid area. Maybe, I don't know, if you live in New Mexico and it's nice and dry, hey, it works, right? But if you're down here, down south where I'm at, where it's nice, hot, and humid, you might not want to do that. You might want to wait until fall or in another time of the year when the humidity comes down. All right. Thank you for bringing that up. Man, I love kefir. I do my dog some when we buy it, plain, no flavor on it. That's it. Also, the other thing you guys could give, if you have a dog that's allergic to dairy, is non-dairy yogurt, coconut-based, plain, nothing on there. Make sure it's got live strains of bacteria on there. Good bacteria, of course. Cornstarch is wonderful. It is, Miss Shea, but you don't want to add it to a dog that has an active yeast infection. You will explode it. You don't want to do that. All right. Thanks for the info. You got it. Transport. I love cooking in the crock pot. So tomorrow I'm cooking chicken quarters for my dog. There you go. Transport. Add some broccoli, green beans. Thank me later. Not too much. Not too much. You're going to make it too gassy. All right. If not, just watch my videos. You'll see the recipe. Follow them. Dysfunctional Dan. I love the name. Finally made it to the live. It's been way too long. I like that, man. I love the name. Dysfunctional Dan, man. I love it. Cheeky Metro. Kefir has always been a staple. There you go. RJ Johnson. I wish I knew that before I placed my order 2 weeks ago. Oh, you're talking about the AutoShip. Well, you could always call them. You could always give them a call and tell them to switch it to AutoShip for you. Make sure it's under 513-237, and they'll make it happen for you, man. Transport, I'm going to try both supplements that you recommend in this video. You got it, man. Number love. Cheeky Metro. Fresno, California is getting a bit hot nowadays. I am sure, bro. Shade Tree, number love. We got RJ Johnson. I've been feeding my pup sardines, raw meat, and zero sugar. Has not helped his issue, nor had hounds of dollars. I guess hundreds of dollars at the vet. RJ, how long have you been feeding sardines and raw meat with zero sugar? And I hope that you're supplementing your dog, because if you're not supplementing your dog, then just feeding it protein can also become a problem, right? Your dog needs vitamins and minerals in order to make in order to make certain things in the body that the body needs. If you're not giving supplement or vitamins in one way or another, then your dog's body's going to like that. My Maltese weighs approximately 12 pounds. Okay. I remember I wanted to give you a weight base. Man, I forgot what it was. You're going to have to remind me what I was talking about, man. You took a little too long to respond, Transport. RFBRRBFR. What should I feed my 10-month-old Dogo Argentino that's starting to suffer an itch? Sweetheart, look, do yourself a favor. Go to my YouTube channel, QBN Kennel, right here. Check it out, QBN Kennel. We're only 5,000 subscribers away from 200,000, okay? When you get to this page, I want you to scroll. We're over here on this live. I don't want you to go there. I want you to go here. This is a playlist, okay? It's a playlist. If you notice, it's going to say multiple playlists down here. If you want, go down here. It's the Dog Yeast Infection Treatment Complete 21-Day System. So I want you to watch that playlist, all of it, not just one video. Watch the whole thing, okay? And apply what applies to your dog, okay? Transport, I live in Fort Worth, so maybe the weather's part of the problem. Transport, I'm letting you know right now, bro, the weather's definitely the problem. Shade Tree, I'm in Texas myself. That's why I'm telling you that. I need that shirt you're wearing, Raul. You're talking about my jersey? All right. You know, I might just make some jerseys like this and just pass them out to the best of my supporters. Shade Tree, you'll probably be one of the first ones. Cheek Metro, Fort Worth, I have family there. I guess we just have to be more vigilant in the summertime. You got it, man. Awesome. Cheeky Inserata says, I stopped feeding canned salmon, mackerel, because I have had 4 breedings not take, hoping it stacks. I switched to sardines and boiled eggs. There you go. There you go, Inserata. We're hovering over at about 100. There you go, man. Still hot. Kibble is a lie. You got it. Oh, check it out. We got ourselves Shamrock Bully Club. We got ourselves a new member. Hold on, Shamrock. I got to do it right, man. I got to do it right.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Here, hold on a second, man.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
There you go. Pues claro que sí, cabrón. We do this every Sunday at 8 p.c.st. Thank you for joining us. And now, whenever you ask a question, you got that next to your name, you get priority, man. Number love for you, bro. All right, guys, listen. That's all I got for you tonight. Love your yard. Thank you so much, Miss Inserata. Was Aruba your first American bully, says Shade Tree. No, Aruba was not my first bully. My first bully was King Kilo. Then was Azu, who passed away, not this year, but the year before, at 9 years old. She had cancer. And then after her was Fireball, who's Aruba's brother. He was born April 30th, right? 2017. And then Aruba over here, little old Aruba, was born on June 15th, 2017. And she just became 9 as well. So no, Aruba was my, was it 1, 2, 3, my fourth bull. But nonetheless, Mama Aruba is definitely a staple here at QBN. Her and her brother Fireball. Where's my own little Fireball right here? Yeah, that's her brother. Number love for these guys. And yeah, they're both 9 years old. They're still in my yard. You've seen the video. I showed you Aruba. I can definitely show you Fireball. We don't just breed and get rid of dogs when they're too old and they can't produce. They die here. That's how we roll with it. Transport says, that's awesome. We aren't so different. Welcome, BEK. Catching y'all on the next one. Zulema Santiago saying, see y'all. Hey, man, don't kick me out. Either way, guys, before I let you go, let me see. I heard somebody say they wanted to hear a little blue. Let me see if I can get it up on here. There we go.
Like blue eyes in a sea of blue. I can't stop thinking about you. The way you walk, the way you stand, the way you do you. Blueberry motherfucker, you. That's right.
That's right. Hey, I had to drop it like that because I know I got a lot of new people that don't know nothing about Blueberry. That's Blueberry. Just so you know, we just bred him this week. Stay tuned, man. We got an amazing litter coming out of that. Free Stack Freak is saying Shade Tree. Either way, it's been Raul from the Q. We do this every Sunday now at 8 p.c.st. Make sure to join us. Again, it's been Raul from the Q, catching you on the next one.
We are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate.